is going to be fun. This one I wanted to make because possibly this is going to happen. And possibly it's going to happen because of the Fibonacci. Okay, and what it has to do with what's happened on the stock market with that GameStop and this massive amount of people understanding what a short is and how these corporations have been lying and selling things they don't actually have in their possession. And so they have been dishonest. And there is a movement or an awareness about silver and precious metals and gold too. Any precious metal actually, or precious, actual thing of physical substance of value. Okay, now why is this significant with the Fibonacci and the Bible and our timeline that I've been trying to say? If we can see events occurring in our timeline and then line them up with these stories in the Bible, that what I'm saying is the purpose of the stories is to record the skeletal structure of the pattern, so when it's coming back around, we can recognize the point, the choice point, so we can make the higher choice, okay? The higher choice. Okay, so how is it connected to silver? It is connected to silver because at very critical times, silver is mentioned. When it was time for the Israelites to go out of Egypt, something happened. It said that the women who lived in her house gave articles of silver and articles of gold and clothing, and you will put them on your sons and daughters. And there was this great transfer of wealth from the Egyptians, who were the idolaters and oppressors, and this transfer of wealth went to the Israelites that was given to the children, which is the future generation, being enriched instead of impoverished and being hunted by Pharaoh and killed and born into slavery. Okay? So that is something. Might be a piece of information a lot of people aren't aware of that is mentioned then when it was time for them to physically move into the land. That same scripture where I said that there's again a parallel to our time with the lockdown. It says Jericho was tightly shut because of the sons of Israel. So when it was time for the paradigm shift, okay, Israel in this case is simply representative of that group who are ready for the paradigm change. At that time, no one went out and no one came into the city of Jericho. Now, of course, then the account of the trumpets and the people raising their voice, the walls of that city came down. But when they came down, the people were not to covet the wealth. They recognized that they were working together to build something better. Okay? So they were wanting to build a life that had relationship with God. And so because of that, it said, but all the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron are holy to God. They shall go into the treasury of God. Okay? Now people are also the treasure, because New Jerusalem is described as being built out of every precious stone and metal and pure gold, okay? But it's also made of people. So the trick is, as the people are coming out of Egypt, they are the true treasure because they're alive in God's eyes. But the metaphor is that all the physical treasures of jewelry were also given. In fact, I do believe it's believed that's why the name Jew and Jerusalem is linked to the word jewelry, because it's a physical thing that exists that's also metaphoric. Okay, but accompanies the events in the Bible of the paradigm change. Okay, so these articles, now again, it's mentioned again in Daniel, which is the prophecy of this great image of a man. Okay, the corporations, look at those ones I made, are the idols of the day, and they're made out of one time it's gold, and another time it's gold, silver, bronze, iron, all these precious metals. And in the days of that image, the feet of that image is struck by a stone. Okay, and David had a pebble that he struck in the head of Goliath. Okay, this little stone, and each believer in Revelation is said to be given a stone, a pebble, which represents the awakening. Okay, that we begin to experience here, we begin to see. Okay, so what happens in Daniel? This image, it says, it's the feet are struck, and that image, again, that occurs at the paradigm changing event. Okay, so now another one that happened. Jesus was betrayed with 30 pieces of silver. Okay, again, major paradigm moment. Major paradigm moment. A paradigm moment on a scale that, we could really talk about for a while. But what happened? The Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious people, had become corrupted, who were basically ruling all of Israel. And who do we believe are greatly influencing the world today because of very corrupt, twisted religion? Satanists, okay? And they are what? Corrupting people. And Judas was a traitor. And what do we have on Wall Street? What do we call them? That they're called traitors? Okay, now that's pretty darn interesting. Okay, so what happened is he was corrupted because of coveting wealth, okay? And he had even said that Judas was the one who held the bag, and Jesus turned over the money changing tables. This commerce thing that's happening on the earth is very much in the Bible, okay? Very much. Let's pay attention. So then what happened is he felt remorse, and those 30 pieces of silver he gave back to the temple treasury. Because the silver, when just like in Jericho, was meant to be for a higher purpose, a higher purpose. And then they felt guilty and they bought a field, a potter's field. And what is Adam made out of? The earth. And God is the great potter, which was also called the field of blood. And where has all the blood been spilt but on the earth? Okay, so when the silver moved, okay, from being used for a very corrupt agenda to being used to rebalance the situation, to correct the injustice. Okay, so why am I making this video? Possibly what's happening is we are realizing what is the Achilles heel of the greater system that we're subject to, just like that image of a man where the stone strikes the feet, okay? Because the reference to the heel and the foot, it's also through the Bible. And because of the silver, they believe if everyone on earth who's aware of this injustice and manipulation, if we start buying small quantities of silver, it doesn't have to be big quantities, because remember, the image is struck and it's dispersed. It's turned to dust and it's dispersed. That could be a symbol for the redistribution of wealth. And we hear people talking about Nisera and Jisera and this Jubilee. But what if this is the how? What if the Bible, through the Fibonacci, is telling us the tool to do it? And we, the people, rise up. It was the voices of the people at the walls of Jericho that made the walls fall down. Us taking our power. And how can we do it? We can do it simply by buying real silver and taking ownership and having millions and millions of people everywhere do it. It would expose the thieves and the dishonesty, and it would be an instant redistribution of wealth, because every single person on earth who even had a silver ring or a necklace or a spoon or an antique from grandma would instantly be a recipient of the wealth, and their confidence would go up, not down, because the currency is based on confidence, and people are losing confidence in the present system. But if we lose too much confidence, then the system crashes and it's a complete restart and reboot, which is possibly what our enemies want. And this is why the story is recorded in the Bible for us, how we can make it through this transition, this paradigm change, without being sent back to the Stone Age. And we have the tools to do it. Buy real silver and take ownership. It wouldn't hurt to try it. I want some feedback from you guys. I wanted to tell you this because if you see this happening in the next weeks, I want you to know you can have more and more confidence, because it's been told to us in the Bible, so we could know ahead of time and we will know what's coming, and that's why it'll be like we're prophets. But we're not really, because we're just recognizing the pattern, the language that's been spoken to us, the mechanism through which our deliverance can happen. Oh, this is fun making this. I hope I explained that enough. Take care, friends.